host of the Gridiron.
Fourth and goal to go with the 2. 34 seconds left to go in the ball game. This is the play right now. Takes the snap. Targeted goes in. Targeted all alone. And the quarterback keeps. Wow, what a call. Nobody touched him.
Now, yeah, one of the things, the Giants are in a really good position here. If like to trade back into one of those rounds, back into the first round, back into the second round, back into the third round, what would it take the Giants? Right, the Giants they're in pretty good position here to really do that. Especially if you also think about maybe they can one of their picks from maybe next season, right? Because don't forget we got 2 third-round picks. Right, so without question, the Giants definitely are, could do something like that. So let me once again here share the screen, pop this baby up here, and we'll share this here. Man, boom, there we go. All right, so the Giants they're in pretty good position here because you figure, right, to jump back into the first round. Okay, so right here, right, the Giants between their pick 34 and their pick 65, because let's not forget it, they winds up going 3-2-1. They got the third pick in the first round. They got the second pick in the second round. Then they got the first pick in the third round, right? So if the Giants wanted to jump, and let's not forget about this other third round pick the Giants have, right? So it's all highlighted in green here. It's worth 100 points, right? So they got 100 there. So between that and that, it's 370. 370, so they got 900, if my math is correct, which usually it's not. They have 930. If they wanted to jump back into the first round, right, and give up, say, their second and their 2/3, they have like a little over 900 points, right? Now, where could they jump back in at? 900, right? Right. I mean, if they wanted to do something like that, or what they could do is they could trade up, or they could trade, right? They could trade this pick. There we go, right? They could pay 34 and 65, and that would give them a little over 800 points. Right? 825, is that right? That would give them 8. They pick 34 and 65 would give them 825, 825 points. Now, what they could do, right, with the 825 points, they could jump up here and try to maybe trade with Denver. If one of those, maybe if Dart was there, I don't know if Sanders is going to fall that far, but maybe if Dart, who knows, was there, they could trade those, and then they can maybe, trade maybe a next year's 5th round pick or something like that. What is this here? 29 point. Or maybe they can give, I don't know if they want to trade away a bunch of picks from this season. Say they could trade this year's 5th round pick, right? And this would probably give them enough points to move up. But usually ones are working out where they, maybe they trade this year's second, their first, 3rd round pick, and maybe a 4th or a 5th from next season or something like that. And they could jump up here. They could trade with Denver in front of Pittsburgh, who needs a quarterback, right? So they can easily, jump into the around 20. I mean, it depends on how high they wanted to go. Obviously, if they were going to jump, obviously much higher, if they want to jump into the teens here or something like that, obviously they're going to have to start adding some more draft capital. Obviously, But they could certainly jump back to like around number 20, somewhere around that, with just a couple picks and maybe one 4th or 5th rounder next season. If Dart were to fall, if they love Dart, or as I said, I don't know if Sanders is going to go that far. But, so they got options there. Now, if they wanted to jump back into the second round, right? I mean, once again here, they got the 2 third-round picks, which is really helpful, right? They got 104, right? 104 points there with pick 99. And they got this. So they got 370 points. So just say, once again, right, say they use this pickup and they use this pickup. They got between their 2 third-round picks, they got 370 points, according to this chart, of course, right? 370. Okay, that could get them around here. But, I mean, hey, if you wanted to add in like maybe next year's 4th round, see, what is this year's 4th round pick worth? 84 points. Hey. Yeah. Or if you want to add in like next year's 4th round pick, they can certainly get back into the they get back into the middle of the 2nd round. If they find somebody they're in love with, absolutely. I mean, because that's the power of that 2nd, 3rd round pick. If you want to get back into the 2nd round, you couple up the last 3rd round or the first 3rd round pick and the 4th round pick, and you can get back into the 2nd round easily, right? And then finally, if they wanted, just say they wanted to jump back into the 3rd round, well, once again, right, they take this pick here, this final pick here in the 3rd round. But if they wanted to jump up higher, right, they could take this pick here, which is worth 104 points, right, and take this one, which so basically be between the two, give them maybe about 190 points, right? And where could they jump back in at? They can jump in around maybe pick 80, somewhere around here. They can also trade another pick, a 4th or 5th round, or maybe one from next year or so. So they could, once again, they could jump back. They could wind up with their 1st, their 2nd, their 3rd, their first 3rd round pick, which is the first pick of the 3rd round, right? So they got 3 of the top 65 picks. But I said if they wanted to couple up their 3rd round pick, their 2nd, 3rd round pick, and the 4th round pick, right, they can move back into the middle of the 3rd round. Somewhere around here. As I said, if they throw in another pick, maybe next year, as I said, 4th or 5th or something like that, they can jump up even higher. So they could certainly get back into the top 10, 11, 12 of the 3rd round too, if need be. The thing that I'm kind of, a little bit leery on this about, is that, the Giants have a lot of holes. If the Giants were like the Eagles, I mean, this is something the Eagles could do. Because the Eagles, they have a really good roster, right? We know that. The Eagles the Eagles are looking for good quality players. The Eagles are not so much looking for a ton of depth they're looking for really good players. So that's something the Eagles would wind up doing. If the Eagles wind up with like 3 really good players out of this draft, that would really be fantastic for them. So they could do something like that. The Giants, on the other hand, have 5, right, of the top 105 picks. 5, right? And if Shane can do what he did last season, right, with the top 5 picks that we wound up having that really came out good, if he can do the same thing this season. But this year, because, we didn't have 5 of the top 105 picks last year like we do this year. So if he can do as good as he did last year with these top 5 picks, that's what the Giants need. The Giants not only need like good quality players maybe to start, but also they need some good quality depth as well. So I'm not so sure if the Giants are really in position, as I said, unless they're like in love with, say, Dart, and he may not make it out of the 1st round, and they're like, man, if we can get Dart, right? We got our pick number. We took Carter at number 3. We got our impact player. Let's couple up our 2nd round pick and our 1st, 3rd round pick. Trade back in front of Pittsburgh in the 1st round, and let's grab Dart because we think we can work with him, right? We think work with him within a year, 2 years or whatever. Like he can maybe take over the reins of quarterback, right? That's a possibility, right? But for the most part, the Giants have holes. They need depth. So I think these 5 picks would be very, very important for the Giants. So I'm not so sure if Shane's going to be moving up much, if at all, to get a bunch of another player or two. But with that extra 3rd round pick, the Giants, it does leave them some options. They certainly could if they want to. All right, guys, been 1 hour and 42 minutes. Thanks, Benny G-Man. Thank you, brother. Good talking to you, pal. Thanks for hanging in there with me. Greatly appreciate it. So whoever spent any time listening to me live, thank you. Or if anybody's going to spend any time watching a replay this, once again, thank you so much from the bottom of our heart. Use the world, Tommy. As always, you guys stay safe out there and go Giants! Woo! Oh, yeah.